for these people.
Money for war. So, yeah. So that, well, I mean, not surprised to anyone here, but yeah, we're giving or potentially giving more money to Israel on top of the $4 billion that we give them a year.
A year.
A year. So, but yeah, well, let's get into it. And as I said earlier, it may be potentially a lot more money that they're going to get, depending how things go within the next few days or so. But this was pulled. Actually, shout out to Nuno Marquez, who actually has been sending me a lot of information, like other sources that we normally do not get or normally cannot get because we live here. Since he's based in Europe, he's able to pull other articles that I may not necessarily think of immediately. But this is from the Times of Israel, where they report that Israel has asked the U.S. for $10 billion in emergency military aid. And it continues.
That's billion with a B? 10?
Billion with a B.
Oh, yeah. God. Okay.
So Israel has asked the United States for $10 billion in emergency military aid, the New York Times reports, citing 3 officials familiar with the request. The aid package is currently being put together by Congress in coordination with the White House and will also include funds for Ukraine, Taiwan, and the U.S.-Mexico border.
Okay. What the what? Why?
I mean,
Collin, why are all those in there?
I mean, gotta finish that wall.
Bro, what? I thought we were gonna have Mexico pay for it. I thought wasn't that?
Well, that was under Trump. Biden made no such promises.
Oh yeah, Biden said we were gonna pay for it. I forgot. Then he was gonna lock up all those crazy kids who didn't listen to records at night, right? Something like that. Oh, okay.
Sure.
So just war, and then racist border patrol. Got it. Yeah. That's what we're funding. Cool.
Yes. Over anything else.
Yeah, right. Chucky the Shoe, I'm sure, is going to be very happy with this deal.
Sure. Speaking of Chuck, he said during a visit to Tel Aviv on Sunday that U.S. lawmakers have discussed providing Israel with replacement ammunition for the Iron Dome missile defense system, precision-guided bombs, JADM kits to turn standard bombs into precision munitions, and 155mm ammunition. So, more accurate boomies, it sounds like, that they want to give. So that was actually the article. Now, this was also from Nuno as well. So this was actually what the White House had listed on the White House page, I believe on October 7th. So this was over almost 2 weeks ago.
This is what AOC cried for supporting, right?
No.
I think. Okay.
No, because this got pulled from the White House website. So, but as the saying goes, screenshots are forever.
Yeah.
So, so I did get a hold of this, but basically, if you look through the fine print, if you just look below, at the bottom, that Biden approved the allocation of $8 billion for defense and military aid to Israel. So again, that was back on October. That was back on, again.
This is before they asked for another 10.
Yes.
Okay.
So, well, this was posted on the White House website. Then it got pulled. My guess is probably due to issues with Ukraine.
Yeah.
That they didn't want to necessarily give out this money without Zelensky being like, well, where's my money? So they pulled this because this was no longer on the website after like once
Yeah,
I saw
after
this. That's why, yeah, so that's why it wasn't necessarily reported at the time. But just to give you an idea, Biden, at least at that point 2 weeks ago, approved 8 billion to go to Ukraine. And now Israel is asking for 10. But
well, 8 billion
10
no,
billion.
to Israel, and then now they're asking, now we need two more billion,
Right.
on top of this.
And now, right. And now, according to reports,
yeah,
Biden is looking to give 100 billion combined to Ukraine and Israel. So
right.
my guess is Ukraine will get most of that. And then I wouldn't be surprised if Israel gets more than 10.
Well, you say that
out of that.
the Ukraine stuff people have been pulling back on, as far as like they wouldn't let Zelensky into Israel. Like that was a thing.
Right.
Like that's
right.
You might not get that. Like you might not get whatever you thought you were going to get in Ukraine. A ton of accounts are being shut down over that and transitioning to being Israel's NAFO group. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll definitely look. Yeah, I'm interested to see the kind of a breakdown of how much this money is going to go. But in addition to that, and this was new as of today, didn't have time to report on this, that Biden is also allocating 100 million to humanitarian aid to Palestine, which shout out to Nico for actually mentioning this, and I wish I did pull up his tweet earlier before we went live. But he basically mentioned that's impossible to do that because right now Palestine is not in the capability to receive any money right now. So right now, we're suppressed as hell.
yeah, like right. Social emotional learning with Dr. Donnie. I had a hard time finding this channel on YouTube. You don't say.
Yeah.
You don't say there, Dr. Donnie.
Looking at INN where you have to type us in the thing.
The full thing. Indie News Network to even get close to finding us.
Yeah.
It's easier to find us on Twitter, which at Get Indie News on Twitter if you want to go there.
But here's the thing though. Like Palestine allegedly is getting 100 million while Ukraine and Israel combined are getting 100 billion.
Yeah.
Like, where's the bias? So but yeah, so I know we're not going to play the whole thing. There is a full clip if you go to Sky News and you can watch this interview in full detail. We're not going to have you suffer through that, and we can't pull it. Well, we could, but we're not going to have you suffer from watching 20 minutes of Janet Yellen. But
there it is.
Yeah, but
I couldn't even find Nico on Twitter. It was like I forget, it's like real Nico, and then even that wouldn't find him. Like,
anyway. What are you looking up?
The tweet you said you were looking for.
Actually, if you look on my Twitter page, I think I retweeted. I retweeted it.
Cool.
So, do you want to look that up now, or do you want
I'm looking it up while we can do video first.
Let's do video first. So this is short anyway. So yeah. So this went viral earlier in the week. Of Miss Janet Yellen, basically being like, "Oh yeah, we will be able to support both Israel and Ukraine. Yeah, we got the money for that." So
this tweet you were saying.
Yeah. So Nico, shout out to him, mentioned, "I'm going to need to see the bill of what that's supposed to go." meaning the
Yeah,
aid
this
that's supposed to go
100
to
million to Gaza, right?
right, because funding to the West Bank isn't allowed. All that money goes through Israel's hands. So is this just an Israel military grant disguised as humanitarian aid to Gaza?
I
So
almost
yeah,
guarantee.
right. So yeah, Israel's not Palestine is not going to get that money.
Yeah.
Um,
Nope.
but anyway, you could play this now of of Yellen's comments regarding us giving them more money.
I started by asking her whether there are any conditions attached to America's support for Israel given the unfolding humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Her answer to that was very clear. She said, quote, "America stands behind Israel, period." I also asked her whether America could afford to support two foreign wars at the same time, and a similarly clear answer to that, absolutely. And this was why she said absolutely.
The American economy is doing extremely well.
No, it's not.
Inflation has been high, and it's been a concern to households. It's come down considerably. At the same time, we have about the strongest labor market we've seen in 50 years with 3.8% unemployment.
Y'all motherfuckers need to get glasses then.
A burgeoning of investment, especially in manufacturing, an industrial renaissance in the United States.
Meaning
I
we
have
can
not
make weapons.
known or experienced this industrial renaissance, unless it's what actually that's a good point. Unless she's talking about
Weapons
Raytheon,
manufacturing, yeah,
and Boeing,
right? Yeah, the only people who've been making money,
sure.
Pfizer, Moderna, all those things, yeah. The war profiteers have been profiteering, she says, through gritted teeth. Like, okay.
Yeah, so I guess that's what she meant by the economy.
Dude, how can you look at the economy right now and think anyone is doing well? Like, I don't know how you can.
Well, if you're rich, then yes, it's doing well for you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like even that's not really like you're maintaining, so
sure, but if you don't have real worries to worry about, if you don't have to worry about
it's
debt,
fine. You just have to worry about being touched by a pour on your way to the fucking Starbucks. That's all they got to worry about right now. They got to get on the other side of the street real quick. That was the fun. So I watched that the other day. UFC fighter Leon Edwards, right? A black British man. Like was in Britain, and some lady got scared and like literally went to the other side of the street, and he followed that fucking lady. Like, oh, I'm scary now, huh? Like, like just literally chased this lady into like an alley. Just like, I'm black, I'm not gonna hurt you. It's like it was very funny. Anyway, you have story.
Yeah, you can zoom out of. So this is just to give more, since we're not going to have you watch what Jen is going to say. We're just going to read the article about what she said. So this is from Sky News, where, as she said, America can certainly afford to support Israel and Ukraine. U.S. Treasury Secretary says. In an exclusive interview, Jack Yellen urged Republicans to appoint a new House of Representatives Speaker to enable greater financial support to be agreed for both Israel and Ukraine. So I guess this is what happens when, I guess in the name of bipartisanship, I suppose, is why she wants, I guess. Okay.
Beauty and the Boomer is sending in a $2 super sticker to make sure he gets that money to Janet Yellen. We'll make sure she gets it, us.
Janet Yellen has told Sky News the United States can certainly afford to support wars on two fronts as a conflict between Israel and Hamas threatens stability in the Middle East.
Fuck you, Sky News.
And the
Like,
U.S.
already.
continues to back. And the U.S. continues to back Ukraine's fight against Russia.
Already phrasing it as Israel versus Hamas. Already, Sky News doing great.
Right.
Yeah,
well, those of you who don't know, Sky News, right-leaning
British, like
press,
corporate,
like they're. I would almost argue their equivalent of Fox News, almost.
Yes, one of. Yeah, they have a few.
Talking exclusively to Wilfred Frost ahead of a meeting of finance ministers in Luxembourg, the U.S. Treasury Secretary said the economy and public finances were in good shape to ensure backing for U.S. interests abroad. She said it remained too early to understand the economic ramifications of the latest conflict, with oil and natural gas prices remaining volatile amid growing concerns of a wider war in the Middle East. Those elements were key factors behind the energy-driven cost of living crisis that started facing Western economies last year.
Right. Yeah, Russia messed all of us up.
Right. And I'm sure that's going to be a thing again. I mean, within the next few
winter's coming.
She pointed to a big easing in inflation, but appealed for Republicans to fill the void left by the removal of office of House of Representatives Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Oh, that's really wordy there, sentence there.
Yep.
In order for greater financial support to flow. We do need to come up with funds both for Israel and for Ukraine. This is a priority, Ms. Yellen said. It's really up to the House to seat a speaker, and put us in a position where legislation can be passed. She added, we stand with Israel. America has also made clear to Israel, we're working very closely with the Israelis, that they have a right to defend themselves.
They don't.
But it's important to try and spare innocent civilian lives to the maximum extent possible.
Which they aren't.
America can certainly afford to stand with Israel and to support Israel's military needs, and we also can and must support Ukraine in its struggle against Russia.
Except you aren't. That's partly why she's talking about the speaker. Because why did the speaker thing happen, Collin? We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. Why was
because of
Ukraine funding? Yeah,
right.
So, and then they tried to strike a secret deal, and they were like, "No, like." So, and now they're going to try to sneak it in again through Israel. So that's part of it too.
Well,
if they get funding for this.
Right. Well, that's kind of, actually you brought up something that I did want to talk about. That's probably why they want to give a high amount of money combined to Israel and Ukraine. Because depending who the speaker ends up being, well, not even so much the speaker. Republicans may not necessarily are for giving money for Ukraine, but they're definitely going to be for giving money to Israel. So if you lump the two together, and this is, again, example of a dirty bill, you can't have, even if Ukraine is even if Republicans do not want to give money to Ukraine, they are not going to vote against it if it means not giving money to. And we know, at least at this point, almost everyone in office is aligned to support Israel by any means necessary. So,
if you think about it, this is really a war on almost one front. All of these places. Right. This is to fight BRICS alliance. This is to fight China, Russia. We talked about last week was it Kathleen Hicks, right? And like that recent funding for AI developments, right?
Mm-hmm.
They recently, among those same groups, hosted like a tabletop trial of Taiwan, right? And how that would go, right? Didn't go well. Like, China essentially in this war game went nuclear. Like, which is already like the fact that they're claiming China would do that first is, like, but hey, man, they got to protect, like, they're not going to lose. Like, you put them into a war, they're going to try to win. So,
right. But I think that on our end, serving Israel, I mean, we've been doing that for decades, but it kind of ties into, I think they essentially act as a buffer, especially if Iran is involved.
And it's a trial round for a lot of our military contracts and a lot of our medical contracts, both of which do a lot of human trialing in Israel. Because you have a bunch of bodies you can just wipe off the planet, apparently.
Right, but Israel, the Middle East, serves as a buffer between us and China / Taiwan / Russia.
Well, that's the thing. If you're gonna make now you're gonna make enemies with the entire Muslim community as well as Russia, China, and like a lot of even some of the European powers are going. Like Spain is like, I don't know about this. So we'll see. Ireland's definitely not going to go with you. Like, I think America thinks it's got a ton of allies that'll go in on this, but I think a lot of people are looking at the field going like, I don't know.
The idea of like, and we're seeing this online and even today, for me in DC, that there's a pro-Palestinian protest in the Capitol, at least that was earlier today. So, and we've been seeing a lot of that, throughout the world, like a lot of these pro-Palestinian protests kind of popping off. So while I would argue that mainstream media is doing its best to give the impression that, at least in the West, that we are in full support of Israel, that's really, I saw that in the, like, DJ Joe Nice was there. I think he's in town. I should try and see if I can hook up with him depending on how long he's here. But like the regular schmegular people like are not, I think, see through the bullshit and are essentially, and it's kind of proving that mainstream media, I think, at least from what I've been seeing, is kind of losing the war on having us feel like the warm and fuzzies for Israel. Especially given what we've been seeing online.
Regular schmegular seems anti-Semitic, Collin. You got to be careful.
Okay.
Schmegular is definitely Yiddish.
Okay.
But even English
anyway.
schmegular?
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, let's keep going. So there is no humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
Oh, really? So, we can't keep going off that. Like what?
But we're giving money to them, though.
Yes,
right.
But also,
so why are we giving money?
No food, open air prison, no electricity, no water, no internet. Like anywhere else, that's considered a humanitarian crisis. Like if a storm did any of those things, that would be considered like, anyway, it's like every sentence we have to stop on this crap. It's the worst. Continue. Miss
Yellen remarks followed her visit to the IMF World Bank conference in Morocco last week, when the much discussed topic was the potential ramifications of the Israel-Hamas conflict.
Again,
Iran has warned Israel against a full-scale ground operation in Gaza in response to the Hamas incursion over a week ago.
Who made Hamas again? Who did that? Who made Hamas?
The Israeli government.
Yes, and us. Okay. They also helped make ISIS, but whatever.
Foreign Minister Hussein Amir Abdullahian said his country could not remain an observer in that event. If the Zionist aggressions do not stop, the hands of all parties in the region are on the trigger, he said. When asked if there was more that the U.S. Treasury could do to pressure Iran from not getting involved in the war, Ms. Yellen responded, "I know that there are diplomatic conversations that are taking place, but I'm not going to go into the details about them."
They're in Canada. My girlfriend's from Canada. That's what that sounds like. You wouldn't know her, you know. He doesn't go here.
So we're giving this money, and now, according to what we heard today, allegedly giving humanitarian aid to Gaza. But as Brett Wilkins reports, and this was a big story that came out yesterday, that as protests erupt, as Israel-Palestine trade blame after Gaza hospital strikes kills hundreds. The death toll right now is more than 500, but we believe that the number will reach to more than 1,000, said one Gaza medical doctor.
And I'm sure Collin could have put lots of video here, seeing as how they did a press conference in front of, but we literally can play 0 of them because they are full of dead babies and dead people in the background and really horrific depictions.
I mean, for me, I wasn't going to play that for myself anyway, but yeah, YouTube will.
There was one I saw of one of the doctors speaking, and it was just heartbreaking. Like, it was awful. You know, he was like, dead bodies were piled up in an explosion. Like, it was bad. Like, I feel like it's important people to like witness, like, you know, because media is not going to show you that kind of stuff. Similarly to how like Vietnam War era photography and film were equally as important to like see, you know, like that woman classically with her burned body, like that's important for people to like witness. Like, anyway, continue. Not to get too.
Authorities in Gaza said Tuesday night that an Israeli Defense Forces airstrike on a hospital holding thousands of patients, staff, and people seeking shelter from Israel's relentless bombardment killed at least 500 civilians, while IDF officials blamed the deaths on a botched Islamic Jihad rocket attack.
Which we know is not the case.
Photos and videos from Al-Ali Hospital in Gaza City posted on social media showed bodies and body parts scattered about in the fiery aftermath of the blast. One video shared by senior Al Jazeera journalist Ali Shaham reportedly shows the moment when a rocket or missile strikes the Anglican-run hospital, causing a massive earth-shaking explosion.
A hospital, mind you, that existed before Israel.
Gone. The death toll right now is more than 500, but we believe that now to more than 1,000. Zihad Shadaya, a medical doctor and resident of Gaza, told Al Jazeera, "It is a massacre." Ghassan Abdul Sittah, a physician with the international charity Doctors Without Borders, said on social media.
This is the guy I saw where he was saying we were operating in the hospital. There was a strong explosion and the ceiling fell in the operating room. This is a massacre. He was a reconstructive surgeon. Like, and they immediately started like resuscitation attempts. Like, you know. So
MSF said that nothing justifies the shocking attack on the hospital and its many patients and health workers, as well as the people who sought shelter there. Hospitals are not a target. This bloodshed must stop. Enough is enough, the group added. Many Gazians had fled to the hospital after Israeli authorities ordered 1.1 million Palestinians to flee for their lives on an alleged war crime compared to the Nakba ethnic cleansing of Arabs from Palestine during the establishment of the modern state of Israel, amid a bombing campaign that has killed more than 3,500 people, including over 1,000 children since October 7th.
Yeah.
What's happened is terrible because those people, all of them are civilians. They fled their homes and reached a place that they believed was safe, a hospital, which according to international law is a safe place, Shehada said. People left their homes thinking they were more dangerous, and they moved to our schools and hospitals to be safe. And in 1 minute, all of them have been killed at a hospital.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally war crime stuff.
Right.
Andy just sent me a thing that Israel's banning Al Jazeera as well.
Of course, they are.
Yeah.
Well, I'll imagine they're banning anything that puts them in a not so good light, anyhow.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
returning
free speech,
to the far right
so.
government. Yeah. Returning to the far right government of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, Mustafa Bajgoti, head of the Palestinian National Initiative Party, told Al Jazeera that what happened is nothing but a deliberate war crime by the war criminal Netanyahu and his war cabinet. These people have committed another massacre against the Palestinian people, he continued. They attacked a hospital. This is not only acceptable, it's so savage. Attacking a hospital where people are taking refuge from the places that were bombarded by Israelis and forced to leave, trying to find some safe patches in the hospital or near the hospital. This means there are no safe places for Palestinians. This was a genocide committed in front of the whole world in a place that should be safe, he added.
And they warned us. They warned us we were going to do it.
Right.
Like, so, and then they're trying to claim that it's jihadis. Like, fuck off. Like, anyway, this racist shit.
Speaking of, right. So this was a tweet that I think this is Netanyahu.
Well, Prime Minister of Israel, out, yeah.
Yeah, but deleted because he said, this is a struggle between the children of light and the children of darkness, between humanity and the law of the jungle.
Here, I'll translate. This is a struggle between the white people and the darkies, between humanitarians. Like, that's literally.
I mean, you could read it in that way, and that could relate to, well,
yeah,
for me, a black person, but
right.
but basically any melanated people you can,
yeah, like literally argument. The law of the jungle. Like, you're literally saying these are like, you might as well call them monkeys. You might as well, like, that's what you're saying. Like,
right.
I mean, which we've seen Israelis say you are less than monkeys, even. So,
right,
like
subhuman, like,
right,
animals, right. Israelis have said that about.
Yes,
right.
Cockroaches to be exterminated. Like, where have we heard those before?
Right. You'll have to zoom in for this.
Yeah, I got you.
So this was a tweet. It's in Hebrew, but here's the translation right here. I'm not going to read all of it. If you scroll down for me a bit. So actually go up. So this was written by IDF spokesman Daniel Hagari, informed this morning, according to him, that there may be a small number of terrorists hiding in Israeli territory, but the assessment is that these are individuals. Hagari added that there were no additional infiltrations by terrorists during the night through the fence, and the IDF has no information about a tunnel penetrating the country's territories.
That would have just been flooded. They had flooding. Like, people forget that they'd be flooded tunnels right now if there were any. So
he also said that the army drops hundreds of tons of bombs in attacks in the Gaza Strip, and explained that the emphasis is on damage and non-accuracy. Right?
Yeah, carpet bombing.
Yeah, just
indiscriminate.
Indiscriminate, yeah.
Yeah.
According to him, we're taking a toll on every Hamas position and structure, dozens of every pilot in every Air Force strike. Among other things, the IDF attacked a weapons warehouse located in a mosque and homes of activists.
Yeah, so, this is called shock and awe. it's completely overkill whatever you're trying to kill to hopefully strike fear in the terrorist group. Like, except that's not what it does. Like, it just emblazons those people because, like, you're killing their family members and, like, indiscriminately. Like, so the ones that survive will be extremely resistant to you. So, but yeah.
So this is Dr. Tedros, who tweeted,
the WHO,
World Health Organization, strongly condemns the attack on the Al-Hali Arab Hospital in North Gaza. Early reports indicate hundreds of deaths and injuries. We call for the immediate protection of civilians in healthcare and for the evacuation orders to be reversed. Hashtag not a target.
Meanwhile, the WHO putting up Israeli flag. So, you know, bit of mixed messaging.
So, Hamas, which governs Gaza and whose fighters led the surprise attack, killed more than 1,400 civilians and soldiers, called the hospital attack a crime of genocide.
Now, pause.
The hospital massacre.
Apparently, they claim they were going to get to it later, but they claim that they weren't targeting civilians. Hamas.
Right.
So, you know, that's a bit of you know, it also Hamas created by Israel to push back against the Fatah and the PLO. Like, it was a Israeli power grab.
Yeah.
They wanted religious fundamental Muslim religion to not be secular, lefty, whatever, you know. So it's that sort of problem, similar to how we did Al Qaeda, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep.
Anyway, the hospital massacre confirms the enemy's brutality and the extent of this feeling of defeat, said Hamas leader Ismaili Haniyeh, who called the attack a new turning point. The IDF blamed a failed Palestinian Islamic Jihad rocket for the blast. From an analysis of the IDF's operational systems, an enemy rocket barrage was carried out towards Israel, which passed in the vicinity of the hospital when it was hit, the IDF claimed. However, critics noted that the IDF is known to deny and accept responsibility for its deadly attacks on Palestinian civilians, including Palestinian American Al Jazeera Shireen
Abu Akleh. Yep. Which this is a tactic they use literally all the time. Like, it's literally blame. You would have heard them using those rockets, which no one did. The footage shows that it didn't come from anywhere in a Gaza-controlled area, if we want to go that far. And they've even put out edited footage to, like, agree to their thing, which that had to be debunked and called out. So, and it's just the idiots who went along with this is like, oh, no, it was actually Hamas. No, it fucking wasn't. Like, Hamas doesn't carry the capabilities to level a fucking hospital. I'm sorry. It just doesn't. Like, guess who does?
Israel.
Right? Like, it's ours. It's our stuff. We have the capability. They're borrowing it. Like, you know, like, they wouldn't have an Iron Dome without us. They wouldn't have any of that shit. It's like Ukraine. They wouldn't have tanks. Like, we're giving them those things. So, yeah, wild.
Others pointed out that the Israeli forces have already bombed al-Hospital during the current war on Gaza. On Sunday, Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby said that 4 al-Ali staff members were injured by Israeli rocket fire during a Saturday night attack. The evil and barbaric terror attacks on Israelis by Hamas were a blasphemous outrage, Welby said. But the citizens of Gaza are not responsible for the crimes of Hamas. Okay. The hospital attack sparked large protests in the illegally occupied West Bank, as well as in cities throughout the Middle East and around the world. Demonstrations took place on Tuesday night in Iran, Lebanon, Jordan, Morocco, Turkey, Syria, Tunisia, and elsewhere.
Speaking of which, Syria's been being attacked by Israel for like a decade now. So,
yes,
or more. You know.
Meanwhile, Philippe Lazzarini, head of the United States and World's Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, said at least 6 civilians were killed Monday afternoon when one of the agency schools being used as a shelter in the Al-Maghazi refugee camp was bombed.
Yep.
Dozens were injured, including NURWA staff, and severe structural damage was caused to the school, Lazzarini said. The numbers are likely to be higher. This is outrageous and it again shows a flagrant disregard for the lives of civilians. At least 4,000 people have taken refuge in the UNRWA school turned shelter, he added. They had and still have nowhere else to go. No place is safe in Gaza anymore, not even UNRWA facilities. Israel has attacked UN schools in previous assaults on Gaza and blamed it on Palestinian militants.
No, why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
Right.
The
hospital and school attacks occurred on the eve of a trip to Israel by U.S. President Joe Biden. The president has declared his rock-solid and unwavering support for Israel, which receives nearly $4 billion in annual U.S. military aid.
And you ain't black.
Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas called for 3 days of mourning for victims of the hospital attack and canceled a meeting with Biden planned for Wednesday, according to NPR.
Of course.
In the wake of the hospital attack, Russia and the Russian Arab Emirates called for an emergency meeting of the United Nations Security Council this morning. On Tuesday, the Security Council rejected, actually, we're going to get into this in a minute. The Security Council rejected a Russian draft resolution calling for a humanitarian ceasefire in Gaza. The U.S., United Kingdom, France and Japan voted against the resolution. So when Brett, shout out to Brett, read that, I was like, oh, please tell me more, because we're not going to hear this anywhere else.
No, I saw the vote.
So
everyone stuck up their hands. I mean, they raised their hand to shout that resolution, same difference. Right. In this case.
So this is from UN News. So this is the last part of this segment, but Security Council rejects Russian resolution on Gaza. The Russian-led draft resolution. So notice who wrote this resolution.
Yes. China, Gabon, Mozambique, Russia, and the UAE.
Yep. And 4 against
France, Japan, UK, US.
With steps absent nations.
These are the ones. These are the ones. Pay attention to these ones. Pay attention. Right. Albania, Brazil, which we've talked about before.
Ecuador,
like Ghana,
Malta, and Switzerland.
Fucking Switzerland. Fuck you with your fucking neutral bullshit. We're neutral. No, you're not. Like, you're not.
Members were divided over the lack of specific condemnation of extremist group Hamas.
We're going to get that in the next segment.
Current escalation of violence, sending hundreds of fighters to carry out massacres in settlements near to the Gaza Strip on the 7th of October. For the Council to adopt a resolution, the proposal must receive at least 9 votes in favor, with none of its 5 permanent members opposing or casting a veto. The draft text had called for a humanitarian ceasefire, release of all hostages, aid access, and safe evacuation of civilians.
Collins, someone on Twitter, and it might have been Chris. I think it was Chris Legion, talking about why are people asking for a ceasefire? This isn't like a war. This is a genocide. one group has all the weapons and armaments and bombs. Like tell them it's like they're making this a unified. Oh, both people have to stop the violence. No,
right.
One group defending itself. The other group is being offensive. Both not only in Palestine but also Syria, Egypt. Like, you know, it's anyway. Continue.
Vasily Nebenzia, permanent representative of Russia to the UN, expressed regret over the Security Council's failure to adopt a resolution blaming the selfish intention of the Western Bloc. Yep.
Selfish intention, yeah.
He said that the Western countries' delegations basically stomped on global hopes for the Council to put an end to violence. Ambassador Nebenzia noted that the vote revealed countries in support of ending the violence and providing humanitarian aid, and those blocking a unified message for purely selfish and political interests. Say Zionists. Like, no one says that, and it's like,
well, it's also more than just Zionism. In this case, like it is selfish and political interest, but also Zionism part of that. But it's also political. Like, look, this is resources, man. Gaza controls a lot of oil. Like, you know, it's also a big region thing, right? Like, if Israel holds that area, that's our like ally in the region. If we lose that, we get no footholds, we get no bases, we get no, you know.
Right, but how many people know that though?
You're not many.
Like, that's right, but that's the issue. That's the thing that people like, you know, and we always say here, if the West generally wants a country so bad, there is often a natural resource that it wants.
Right. So this is all resource battles.
Right. So
just like World War II was. Just like every war is. Like, it's always money, resources. Like, you think we wanted all those islands in Japan just because they looked pretty? Like, you know what I mean? The South Pacific had a resource we wanted. You know? Like, we were willing to put tons of Marines on the ground to get it. And boots on the ground have been talked about here, too. So, you know. Ugh.
But we are extremely concerned by the unprecedented humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza and the very high risk of the conflict spreading, he said. Go. Linda Thomas Greenfield, permanent representative of the U.S., said that her country, remember, this is a Black woman, so this I take strong offense to, like, you know, said that her country could not support the Russian draft resolution as it ignored Hamas terrorism and dishonored victims. By failing to condemn Hamas, Russia is giving cover to a terrorist group that brutalizes innocent civilians. It is outrageous, hypocritical, and indefensible, she said. Again, this is a Black woman going to bat for the
colonizers.
But right, but Black person in power, yay,
girl boss.
By failing to I read that. Ambassador Thomas Greenfield condemned Hamas for killing civilians, taking hostages, including American citizens, and slaughtering families, and that Hamas's actions led to the dire humanitarian crisis facing the people of Gaza.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
We cannot allow this council to unfairly shift the blame to Israel. Yes, we can. And excuse Hamas for its decades of cruelty, she said. No,
decades of cruelty? Fuck you. Fuck you so much. What are you talking about? What world do you live on? Decades? You mean like since 1948? You mean that? I can't even, Collin. I can't even. I'm gonna need a fucking pumpkin spice latte to throw this bitch. I can't even right now. All right. Like,
fish are in season.
Yes. Yeah.
Rahad Mansour, permanent observer of the Observer State of Palestine to UN, urged the Security Council to be guided by the principles of international law with no one has been no one has been doing it, so
right.
It doesn't
they
matter.
Don't care.
Do not send the signals that Palestinian lives do not matter. Do not dare say Israel is not responsible for the bombs it is dropping on their heads, he said. Mr. Mansour noted that what is happening in Gaza is not a military operation, but a full-scale assault against its people and a massacre against innocent civilians. Nowhere is safe in Gaza. Families embrace every night, not knowing if it's for the last time, he said. Jihad Iran, permanent representative to Israel to the UN, said that the Security Council stood at one of the most pivotal moments in its history, a moment of truth, which will tell humanity if its very existence holds legit. What does that mean?
Which will tell stood at one of the most pivotal moments of truth to tell humanity if its very existence holds. It's like we're at a pivotal moment in history, and our decisions. It's just like Iraq War virtue signaling crap. It's like that's what that is. Like it's we have to stand with the victims of the terrorism and yada yada bullshit. You know, we need humanity to win the day. Okay. You mean the people who are doing humanitarian crimes are the humanitarian ones? It's just deliberate projection. So
he said that every council member should understand Hamas is driven by ideology no different from Nazis.
More projection
in their charter that called for obliterating Israel. Hamas is not a political organization; it's a terror organization.
Except pause. Obliterating Israel. I have heard more calls from Israelis to obliterate Palestine in the last month than I've ever heard any Palestinian say they want to eliminate Israel. Far more. Like by 1,000. Like I've heard death to Palestinians. I've heard wipe them off the planet. I've heard pretty much everything akin to turn the sand to glass. I've heard that these people are subhuman. I've heard that these people are, causing all our problems in the world, and we should put them in gas chambers, practically. Like this is straight projection. Like on a fucking national scale. So,
Ambassador Erhan called on the council to designate Hamas as a terrorist organization and to hold it fully and solely accountable for the situation in Gaza. So, in other words, gives the West an excuse to blow shit up. That's
well,
and
more than that, it also, we've talked about this, and we'll get into this in a bit. Why this is, if you deem it a terrorist organization, then everyone gets the right to spy on you if you support them. In any capacity. That's the other thing. You're then a terrorist if you are sympathetic to the Palestinian cause because the Palestinians are sympathetic to Hamas. That's what that's going to turn into. So it's Patriot Act 2.0.
Yeah. He also called on the council to fully support Israel's right to defend itself and to immediately and unconditionally demand the release of all hostages.
This is like a dude coming into your fucking house with a gun, and then someone coming in with him going like, hey, he's got a right to defend himself if you get near him. Like, bro, it's my house. Like, you're intruding on me. Dude, this fucking shit upsets me so much.
Yeah, but so as I said, what I think what is encouraging is that I don't think mainstream media is necessarily winning the narrative that Israel. I think the idea that people not fighting, but at least debating on how right Israel is, I think, just kind of shows, because I feel like if this were even maybe 4 years ago, that wouldn't necessarily be the case. But I think now, I think given people are educating themselves, more Palestinian activists have been speaking out more, and more people are kind of understanding the history a little bit more.
Yeah.
That that Israel, but that Israel is kind of the idea of Israel, and not necessarily being held to account of the war crimes.
Yeah, they think they're immune, and they are immune right now. Like literally, you had how many different major powers of the country go, no, it's okay. They have the right to genocide. Like what? No, they fucking don't. Like they don't have the right to exist, in my opinion. The country of Israel, there's no, for me, there's no issue that like they need to be a thing. Same for the Vatican. I don't think it needs to exist as a country either. Like why?
No.
You don't need a religious state. I think everyone could understand that our rules, the ones we wrote for our country, make sure that we don't have that, and we still get that problem, with the evangelical crowd. So to me, this is very easily the problem. You have a group of people who feel like they have some manifest fucking destiny to wipe these people off the fucking planet. It's an atrocity that should be fucking dealt with, but there's no adults in the room, Collin. So
no,
yeah.
And like I said, just for me reporting on this, will likely be demonetized.
Oh yeah, probably that's my fault. So, I probably just got us demonetized.
So feel free, if you want to support us before we do. Feel free to give us anything if you can.
Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, but like I said, but
I know there's opinions on this, so leave them down there in the comment section. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff. If you're watching this as a clip, we appreciate you. But anyway,